In this video, we're going to look at Pleasant Hill Baptist Church, and I'm going to show you how to navigate the back end and show you how to use the main functions on the site. So you'll start by going to your URL and add wp-admin. And it'll take you to the login page where you will put in your username and password that we've given you. And this will take you to the part of the site where you can make updates and changes. So everything you need to see and use will be over here on this left-hand side in this black column. Don't need to worry about what's over here when you first log in, just what's over here. So I'm just going to go down this list and show you what most of these things mean, the pertinent ones and the ones that are being used. So we'll start with updates. This is in reference to the plugins and version of WordPress on your site, and we go through and regularly update these for you. We go through and do this twice monthly for all websites that we host, so you never ever have to worry about this. If you want to select them all and update plugins, you can. If something doesn't seem like it's working right, it could be because a plugin needs updated, but you essentially never have to worry about that unless you want to. So we'll move to the next thing, which is posts. These are blog posts, and you're not currently using that function, so we'll skip over that. If you end up wanting to start using blog posts on your site, this is a pretty easy thing to integrate, so let us know if that's something that ever changes. Events is what's on your calendar. So this is all the events that automatically populate onto your calendar page. So if you ever need to add an event or edit an event, this is where this would happen. And so if you need to add a new event, you can add through here or over here where it says add new, and you can it's pretty intuitive, so I think once you get in here and see it, it'll make plenty of sense, but I'll go through it with you. And the title of your event would go here, and if there is a date for the event, which there's going to be if you're putting it on the calendar, so let's say it's going to be this date, and if there's a time for the event, then you can set the time through here. And if there's no time, you can say all day event, or if there is no end time and you just want to say that the event starts at 8 p.m. or however it works, then you can click those buttons. If you want to repeat this event, then you check the repeat button, and then you would select, okay, I want this event to occur every Wednesday, every week on Wednesday, and end never, or end after a certain date, or after a certain amount of times, or on a certain date. And then I would click apply. And I can also, if I set up this rule, then we're not going to have it 2 weeks from now, but every other Wednesday. Then I can say exclude, and then I would pick whichever date I want to exclude, and then I can apply it, and it won't show up on the calendar. You can fill in all of these other items here, so location details, event cost and tickets, organizer contact info. You can fill out any of those things. Usually we just put the information down here, and you can type in whatever you want here. This text can be formatted the same way that any of the text on a page could be formatted. So you can change the size of your text. You can bold, you can italicize, you can make it a bulleted list, you can make it a numbered list, you can align it differently, you can hyperlink the text to any website, an external website, or a website or a page that's already on your site. You can link to any of those sites, can remove the hyperlink. You can add a sign-up form. So if you have a form that you've created for this event, then you can select the form. You don't want to display the title or the description, and insert the form right there, and it'll show up so people can sign up for your event through the event on the calendar. And then if you want to save a draft, I can save it, and then I can preview what it would look like here. So this is the event, and so let's say we want to go here. I want to go to the calendar page. When did I set it for? We can view it February 28th. Oh, I didn't publish it. It's just saved as a draft. So if you click on one of these events, it'll take you to the page with the information. And so a lot of them just have the date and time on there. And then if you publish it, then it will become visible there. Or I can move it to the trash, which is what I'm going to do because I don't want to keep that. So then if you need to edit an event, you would just basically do the same thing by clicking on the event, and then you can change any of the information that you have set up here. And then just click update when you've made your changes. There's also a little button underneath there that says quick edit. So if you just had the wrong date or the wrong time, you can change that through there and then click update. I think that's the most of the items for a calendar for the events section here. So we'll move on to media. Media is where all of your images, PDFs, sermon files are located on here. So any of your media is in this media library. You can view it through here. You can get a URL to link to it. You can see it. Anytime you want to add media, it will be available through whatever plugin you're using, so you don't actually have to come to the media library very much, if at all, but that's what this is, just so that you know. So we'll move on to forms. Under forms, you just have one form. It's just a simple contact us form, and you've got name, email, message. And the way that this functions is you come over here and add items from here. So if I click single line text, then it's going to show up at the bottom here, and I can edit it to say whatever I want. The field label can say anything you want it to say, and you can move it wherever you want it to go. You can duplicate it using that button there, or you can delete it using that button. And all of these fields right now are required fields, so it's just checked as required. So that means someone has to select that button or has to fill out this section in order to submit the form. You can create new forms for signups if you want to create a sign-up sheet for some sort of event using the same types of functions. So if you wanted to add a new form, you would just go to new form here. I'm going to leave because I don't want to save my changes. And I would click new form, and then you give it a title, create the form, and then you've just been given a blank space. And it gives you some instructions here, and all you have to do is just pick whatever field. So if I want to say name, I want to do email, say something like that, and then I would click update, and then I would click preview, and then I can kind of see what the form would look like. Obviously, this doesn't have the formatting of your site, so it doesn't look exactly the same, but it's close. And then whenever you want to insert this form, you would do like we did during the events section, where you just select form, and it gives the short code for you for that form right there. So let's say I want to just delete this form because we don't need it, so we can go ahead and delete it. If you want to duplicate the form, that's an option. Then you can also look at notifications. Under notifications, this is who's receiving the notification for these forms. So it's being sent to the admin email here. Then you can also view the form entries through this button here. But if you want to create a new notification and send it to another email, you can duplicate this notification and send it to multiple different people by clicking duplicate and then selecting it, and then all you'd change is this send to email right here. So let's move to pages. This basically functions in a very similar way to the events that we were looking at. So it has all those same buttons. You can add and change any of this content here. You can, wherever your cursor is, add media, and you can insert a picture into the page. So you can insert this image here, and if I click on it, I can center the image and change the size of it, or I can delete it. And like I said, I can change the size of this text. I can bold, italicize, add any of those things. And then again, if you wanted to add that form to the page, you select the form, and you don't need to display the title or description, and insert it, and it puts the shortcode there for you. And that's basically how all of your pages work. If you make any changes, you'll want to click update. But that's basically, I think all your pages are pretty simple like that. So it just has some information. Yeah, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So if you want to edit any of the pages or create a new page, you can create a new page by clicking add new here or add new here. Comments are not enabled currently on your site. Under sermons, this is where you would add a new sermon. So if you want to continue to add those to your site, then you'll go to add new, and you'll put in the name or title of the sermon. You can put in the preacher. If there's a series, if this is a series, you can put that there, a topic, a book of the Bible, and then you'll put in the date that it was preached, and whatever the main Bible passage is. If you have that, you can leave it blank. You can leave the description blank. And then if you scroll down, you see location of MP3. So you'll want to add the sermon audio. So either you've already uploaded it, you'll select it and use this file, or you'll go to upload files, and then you'll select or drag files there. And then you'll say, use this file, and don't need to worry about anything here. If you have a bulletin, you can add that by uploading the PDF or whatever file for the bulletin and then adding it through there, and then click publish and it will show up. And if you need to edit any of the ones that are already here, you can do that through here. So if you're going to be adding sermons, another thing to note is whenever you add the sermon, you'll want to set the date preached here. And you'll also want to set it here. So instead of saying it's published on the day, so let's say you add it on a Monday, it's going to have the Monday's date right here. You'll want to change this date to the date that it was preached as well, so that we're sure that it shows up correctly on the sermons page. And that's basically everything. It's also fairly intuitive when you get in here. It kind of tells you, and you can follow along and fill in what you want and leave what you want blank. And as long as there's audio and a title, you should be good to go. And again, you'll want this date to match this date. And click update or publish whenever you're done, and you can go check and make sure that it looks good. We'll move to FooGallery. You have one photo gallery, and everything is set up so that this looks nice and good on your site. So the only thing you would need to worry about is if you want to delete pictures, you can delete them by clicking this X, and you can see it says remove from gallery. You can view the photo. Let's say I want to look at which photo it is, or I can add new photos through here and either upload files or select ones that are already in here. And then I can drag them to rearrange their order within here. And it shouldn't mess up anything. If you want to use this gallery in more than one place, this shortcode just can be copied and pasted. So copied from here and pasted within whatever page that you want to place it, and that FooGallery will show up. Let's move to homepage areas. This is what creates the areas on the homepage. So you can kind of see how they're set into different sections. So we'll go down the list and look at those. Some of the homepage areas are ordered through the reorder button here. So you can see that they're in the right order on this section, but within here, they're not in the right order. So this is how they actually appear on the site, and this is just what's there. So about Jesus. Looks like that's gonna be this section here. So basically this is just, it looks just like the pages, and it's the same type of concept. So this title is put here just so that you can recognize when you're looking through here which one it is. And then this is what actually shows up. So you can see that this is set to a different size font. And then if you scroll down here to the bottom, this is where the formatting occurs. And so there is no formatting occurring other than there is padding so that there's space around the words, and then it's extra narrow so that it's kind of skinny like that. And that's it. Otherwise it has a white background and this text is centered. So we'll go back to the other homepage areas and just kind of move through them. So life groups basically is the same thing. Again, it's got different size text. This is bolded. It's all centered. This is just here as a identifier. It doesn't show up on the site anywhere. And then if you scroll down, you can see that in the background there's a picture and there's a color overlay, and then that color overlay has some transparency to it so that you can still see the picture. And there's padding on this, and the background image is fixed. So if you want to change out the picture in the background, you're more than welcome to do that. To change out the color and to mess with the transparency, you're more than welcome to do any of that. That's where all that's located. And this is all, if you'll look, is formatted here as white text. So if you end up making some changes to this section, so let's say you just want to update the text, you'll just want to make sure, let's say you make the change and then you click update and you come here to the main page, you refresh, you look at your work and see what you've done, and it's not all white. You'll just want to come back in, highlight it all, and make sure you format it as white text, and then click update. So all those sections function the same way. So if you wanted to add a new section, so this section, this section, this section, and this section all function the same way. And some just have pictures in the background with white text and that color overlay, and some are just plain white like that. So the main slider, so that's this top part here, is created through Revolution slider. So the only thing here is shortcode. So you'll never really need to change anything on the actual homepage area there. Once we get further down in the list, I'll show you how to change and update this actual element. And under events, this is also shortcode. So this will automatically populate every time that you add an event to the calendar. This will automatically populate with whatever is the closest events to that date. So it'll automatically populate that, and then this will take you to the calendar page. So nothing that needs to be updated there. And that's everything. That's all of the it looks like this one. So this is the very last section. So this has, if this email ever changes, you can see that this is hyperlinked by just adding the phrase mail to with an ellipses and then the appropriate email address. And then this has directions linking, hyperlink to the Google page here with your church's address. So if anything ever needs to be updated here, that's where that's located. And then this is shortcode for the map. And I'll show you how to make changes to the map if you end up wanting to do that. And that's all the homepage areas. So they function in that way. It should be pretty much the same way as, again, with events or the pages section. It all kind of works the same way. You can format things in the same way. So we'll move on. Genesis is the theme for your site, and there's really nothing that needs to be edited or changed there. Under appearance, we're going to look at 2 items, widgets and menus. We'll start with widgets. Widgets is what creates what's in the footers and what's in the header. So the logo and menu items. So you've got your logo here and your menu here. These are added by selecting an item from over here and then saying where you want it to go. So footer, header, those kind of things. I don't think these are items that you'll be changing much, but this is just so that you know where it's located. So let's say if you do update your logo, then you can choose an image, come in here and select upload that new file and select that file and put it in there. And you'll want it to be one with a transparent background so that it fits nicely in that white background. And then you've got the menu. And this is just so that we can list those homepage areas, nothing to concern yourself with under that section. The other section, you have this footer menu. So you'll see these 2 buttons here. You've got the contact button and the Facebook button. And these are, as you'll see, if you just scroll down, all you have to do if you get a new social media is put that URL there and will appear there. If you get a new Twitter or something along those lines. If your Facebook URL changes or you need to email a different contact person, that's where that's changed. And then you'll want to make sure you click save right there. And then under footer 2, the menu is there again. So you have the menu at the top and the bottom. And I'll show you how to update the menu it's under appearance, menus here. So let's say if you add a new page, that page will show up here. And then you click add to menu. So it'll show up under most recent, or you can go to view all or search. And then it'll show up over here and I can drag it wherever I want. So I can make it a sub menu item. I can put it up higher or down low. I can edit the navigation labels. So let's say whatever I titled the page I don't actually like for the navigation label and I wanted to change that. You can change it or I can remove it. And then always click save menu when you make changes. You can create a new menu if you want to, but I don't foresee that being necessary for anything. If you want to link to an outside site, then you can create the link text that's your navigation label. So that's what will appear right here. And then you can link to an external site. If you want to put it as a main menu item, you're kind of running out of room for it to look good. It's good to only have about 5 menu items up here, which is what you have. If you want to make it a sub menu item, then that's totally fine and would easily fit within there. And that's basically everything with menus. Plugins is what we mentioned earlier about under updates. This is what's used to build your site. Probably not anything that you'll ever change. If you want to add plugins and do more with your site, that's totally fine. Under users, this is where your username and password are located. So if you want to change your password, that can be done right here. And then click update user. You'll just want to make sure your password is extremely strong so that you don't compromise the security and integrity of your site. Tools, settings, and SEO are not things we are going to look at. This is a plugin we used to use a lot and we're not using this either. No, we're not. And duplicator is something used to launch the site. FooBox is part of those galleries that I showed you earlier. Nothing to look at here or use. It's just there. Under slider revolution, this is one of the last things we'll look at, and that's what creates this slider up here. So you have a good slider and it does all the things that you need it to, and it looks good, and it doesn't seem like one that you'll want to change super often. But I'll show you how to make those changes just so that you know. So let's say you want to embed the slider somewhere, that shortcode is found right there. Or if you click on slider settings, I can go here and I can change any of these slider settings or get the slider code right through there. Let's go to all sliders and then go to slide. So I just going to click on it and it's going to open up and I can look at each individual slide and each of the elements that is used within that slide. So then you'll get to this page where you can look at the individual slides, and if you'll notice, some of them have a green check or this red mark over them, and the green obviously means that it's appearing on the site, and then the red means that it isn't. So you can check either side if you want to get rid of a slide and have it available later, or if you want to get rid of it without deleting it. So if you click on a slide, then you get into that slide and you can see what makes the background and then what makes these elements here. So your site is set up really well and you probably don't need to make any adjustments or changes to your slider, but if you wanted to, the background photo is changed through that media library button right there, which was next to background. You can choose any photo that's in here. You can go to upload files and then upload a new photo or select any that's already there. And then if you click these three little lines here, it'll show you all the different layers of your site. And if you want to edit them, then you can click the pencil next to it and you can change this verbiage here. Or you can double click on any of those layers, but since they're on top of each other, it may be hard to click them that way, so you can find them here. And if you click on one, you can see that you can change the fonts and you can change the size of the font, the color, and you can change the weight of the font. And down here is the animation, and this is all set up nice, and I don't know that you'd ever change any of it. So let's look at a different one. And then if you did make any changes, you'll want to make sure you click save and go through each screen size, and you can see these barriers here, and that's the edge of the screen, and you want to make sure all your stuff fits within all of those screen sizes so that when someone's looking at it on their mobile phone, that stuff isn't falling off the edges. So we'll go to a different slide, this one, and you can see the same is true for this. If you do change the font size here, this line height, which is these lines around the edge, need to be equal to or greater than this size here. So we need to make sure that you have that if you do end up changing the font size on anything. This one's a little bit more clear on the animation. So if you click on one of these, you can look at the different types of styles. You can put a border around your text. You can give it a background. You can give it an animation. So we've got rotate in from 0. And you can also see down here, the worship one is right here. And so this initial section here is what takes the amount of time it takes for it to do this motion, and then the rest of the time is how long it stays on the page. And you can see they're kind of staggered. So if, let's say, you change your worship time, then you just could come in here and change it there. Click the check mark when you're done, click save, just make sure it fits within those boundaries, and then you're done. And the last slide kind of looks exactly the same. Has a background, and then this one has a button that has a link to your life group page. or at least it's supposed to. So let's say you want to create a button out of this right here. Let's see. So we'll want to do actions, and we want to click a simple link, and then we want to go to the life groups page. So I'll get this URL there, and I'm going to put it here in that URL, and I'm going to click save. And then now that will function as a button. So an easy way for you to add new things to your site would be the duplicate function on these slides. If you just duplicate this slide, it'll create another one exactly like it, and then you would have this same animation already on there, and you wouldn't have to mess with it at all. You'd have a button already there. You could just change out the link, and you can drag these and rearrange them in what order they're in. Those kind of things. Those are the main functions with Slider Revolution, and that's what you'll want to know. Again, always click Save Slide once you've made any changes. You can also preview the slide that you've made to make sure that it looks okay. And if you wanted to add a blank slide, then that's done through here, Add Blank Slide. And then basically what you'd need to do is click and go to the media library, set a background photo, and then you can just mimic all these other settings from a different slide if you don't want to go the duplicate route. But again, I think if you want to create a new slide, just duplicating a slide, changing out the image, and changing the text is going to be your best bet. And that'll be a super easy way to make sure everything looks nice and uniform for your site. And if you ever want to create a button that's a link, that's done through actions, and then you click that little plus. And Google Maps is the next item here. And are you guys using Maps? Yeah, you are using one here at the bottom. So if you need to edit this map, that's done by Manage Maps, and click Edit. You can change the height of the map or the zoom level about how far it is zoomed out here, and you can change any of these settings here if you'd like, but it's all set up and looks nice, so there's really nothing you'd ever have to worry about here. If you need to change the address, that would be done through Manage Locations, and then you would click here. And if you move locations and end up at a different space, then you can change the address there. And once you start typing, it will automatically populate the rest of it if you choose the right address. So probably nothing you really need to worry about there or change. And those are the main functions for your site. So let us know if there's anything else that you need or if you run into any troubles.